Hello, this is Donna Arthur from Clever Crafting, and I'd really like to thank you for joining me again today. Today we're going to make this lovely lattice card. It is so pretty. So we're going to start first of all by cutting out the frames that we'll need for the lattice work. Now these rectangles are actually metric sized, so they are designed for A6 cards, not the American A2 cards. So what I've done is there's 16 dies in the set, so they're all very close, and what I've done is I've taken two of dies. There's a gap in between, so I've taken one, missed one, taken another one, and just put that on some craft card, and I will run it through my die cutting machine. Now we actually will need a minimum of 2 of these, and in actual fact I think I probably could have done with 3 or 4, but 2 is fine. And here's the 2 that I've cut earlier that we will be using. So to make sure my lattice is all put together correctly, I use a grid. Now this is a 1.5 centimeter grid that I've made up. I will try and have a link for that below. I've actually laminated mine because I use it quite a lot for a variety of different things. So it is certainly something that you can make yourself and use a lot of. I'm just using some post-it note tape here. Well, it's not actually post-it note brand, but you know, what I'm talking about, like paper low tack tape, and securing my frame, just one of the frames, on my grid paper. So now what I'm doing is just putting a little bit of the Smart Art glue at the bottom and then some at the top, following a diagonal line with my grid. So this is not necessarily going corner to corner, and they're all going to be 1.5 centimeters apart. Now the inside frame is not exactly on the 1.5 centimeter because that's the way that it just works, but I have tried to make it as even as possible around the edges, and you can see now that I've just added a bit more glue and added the next one. So to save you having to watch the whole lot in real time, I have sped this up considerably, so I don't actually work this fast, although it would be nice if I did. You can see that all I'm doing is putting glue around the edges, and then I just keep putting my pieces of lattice diagonally across, using the grid lines at the back as a guide. So now we've gone back to normal speed, and I'm actually doing it the other way, and I'm weaving it through, so under and over, under and over. You really probably don't need to do the weaving part of it. I did enjoy it and I love the look of it, but at the end of the day we put so much stuff on top of the lattice work, because really the lattice work is our background, that you probably wouldn't even notice if it was just put directly on top without weaving it through. But if you want it to be authentic, then weaving it through is, the way to go, and once again can be a little bit of fun. I found it quite soothing actually sitting there weaving this through, so it depends on how much of a hurry you're in or how quickly you want to get the card done. But you can see that what I'm doing is I have lined that up diagonally again with the grid in the background, but just going the opposite way. And I'm just going to put a few more in there. Once again, I have sped this up. I'm not actually going to make you watch the whole lot of this. I feel fairly confident that you've got the general gist of what we're doing now. All right, so this is our completed lattice, and obviously I've clipped off all of the pieces that go off the edge. Now one would think that I would put that other piece of frame at the back, but I do actually want them stacked on top of one another to give us a little bit of dimension on the front. This is where I said I think that I probably could have done with 3 or 4. So I'm just pressing that down to make sure it's good. So you can see there that I have cut a heap of different shades of green, some foliage, and then a lot of little flowers. So I will have links to the dies that I used for those below. And pretty much all I'm doing is sticking some glue on the back and putting them on the lattice. So you can see that the white strips, you see that some of the lattice, it looks a little bit uneven, which is fine, and some of the strips are a bit thicker than the others, but I used white scraps for all of that. So it's always good to keep some of those scraps around, and you can use slightly varying sizes. It's really not going to matter at all, as you can see I've done there. Alright, so we'll just glue those on. I didn't want to have you watch me through all of that because it's pretty dry watching. So you can see that what I've done with my flowers is I've stacked them, you know, different types, slightly different shades. They just all look pretty. It really depends on the colors. They're lovely flowers in that some of them have got holes in them, some of them are solid, and they're all really good sizes. So I'm just going to rearrange them a little bit now. The other thing that I love about this particular die set is that you also get the tiny little circles. So you can use the little circles for the centers of the flowers, like you can see I have done for several of them there. So just going to rearrange. That's how I want it. I've put heaps of greenery in the background, and you can see what I mean here with the lattice. You can't really see that it's woven. Anyway, so now we get to the fun part of just gluing the flowers on. Once again, a lot of fun, bit boring to watch, so I've cut that out for you. I just wanted to show you what I've done here with my double-sided foam tape. Now, I actually buy my double-sided foam tape from Bunnings, but this particular one they don't have anymore, so I have to find another one. But it comes in this massive roll, so I've stuck some of it, as you can see there, on some non-stick backing paper where I had A4 sheets of double-sided tape, so then I can cut it easily and it doesn't stick up my scissors. So I cut it fine and I've put it across the back, and I've also put some on the crisscrossing lattice, not all of it, just some of it, so it holds up in the center. This is just an A6 card base that I'm going to use on the landscape way. It's a nice ivory, and I'm standing up to position this so it's nice and straight. Press it down firmly. So I've used my mixed sentiments dies again, and I've just cut out of the craft card the words thinking of you, and I've just stacked two of them on top of one another. Once again, it's nice to stack 2, 3 or 4 even, just to give it that little bit more dimension. Now I just want to have a look at that on my card, and because the card is so bright and busy, you kind of lose it a little bit. So what I ended up doing is gluing that to a vellum shadow that I cut using the die set as well, and it just makes that thinking of you sit up just a little bit more. So I'm just going to use the Smart Art glue again. This time it's in a fine point bottle. Just putting some dabs of the glue on the back, you know, where it can be hidden, and weighing it down. So this is my completed card. I've added a couple of little bits of bling on the smaller flowers for the centers, just to bring a little bit of brightness to it. So I hope you enjoyed this card today. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me. If you liked the video, I'd love a thumbs up, and even if you would love to subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.